The rocket experiment that I designed was a 3-2-1 puff rocket. My hypothesis for this project was, if I blow more air into the straw to launch the rocket, then the rocket will go farther. Next, I created my rocket. First, I gathered all the materials I needed, which included paper, a straw, tape, a pencil, and some color to make it stylish. I then started my construction. I used a pencil for the base and wrapped my paper around it to make it look like a tube with some tape to make it stay. Then I cut a little piece of paper into triangles to make the fins for the bottom. I then folded each corner and taped the fins onto my rocket's base. After that was done, I added a little design to make my rocket more colorful and real. When finished with the rocket, I decided it was time to test my design. I took a straw, inserted it into the bottom of my paper tube, and blew air to make it fly. As I tested my experiment, I did 4 baseline trials. Each time my rocket flew, I recorded my measurements with a yardstick. After my baseline trials, I tested my hypothesis. I blew more air this time into the straw than ever, and did this 4 times to complete my experimental trials. I then measured and recorded my findings. When I was complete with my hypothesis, I found the average of both data trials. I will now show you my rocket design taking off. My findings on my experiment were exactly what I thought. As we look at my baseline data, I had an average of 201.75 centimeters, while my experiment data average was 212.5 centimeters. So when you blow more air into the straw, it is destined to make your rocket fly farther. When the project was complete, I figured out how my rocket design related to the 3 laws of motion. The first law correlates by staying still until I used the force, which was the air, to make it fly. Then the rocket was launched and started to fall. The rocket hit an unbalanced force, which made it stop, which was the floor. The second law describes how I used an applied force of air, which had a greater friction force to make the rocket fly in the same direction of the net force. Lastly, the third law creates a force between 2 objects. In my experiment, the air I blew through the straw went against the air in the room, creating an equal magnitude but an opposite direction situation. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed my experiment.